Welcome to the Disability Benefits channel, folks. I'm your host, Emmett Irwin, and today we'll be talking about the difference between Social Security disability and SSI. So first of all, I want to introduce you all to my paralegal who's in charge of intakes. Her name is Katie. And if you call, she'll be talking to you and asking you questions to try to figure out, for one, whether you're eligible for SSDI or SSI or maybe both. So here is Katie. Katie, say hi to everyone. Thanks, Katie. All right, so now let's start talking about Social Security disability first. Social Security disability insurance, we call it SSDI. There are some basic requirements. First of all, you have to have paid payroll taxes for 5 out of the last 10 years before you became disabled. Also, you must meet the Social Security definition of disability, which is very complicated, and I'll do many other videos on that definition because we could talk for hours about the Social Security definition of disabled. Okay, and you must have paid payroll taxes for 10 years total out of your lifetime. Now, there's some exceptions to this because if a younger individual, say in his or her 20s, that number is lower, and also it's a lower number 5 out of the last 10 years. It could be 2 out of the last 4 years or 3 out of the last 6 years if someone's in their low 20s. But you get the idea. You have to have paid payroll taxes for a certain amount of time to be eligible for Social Security disability insurance.
So it should be closer to the majority of the time that you've been working?
Now, Katie just asked a question. She asked, it should be closer to the majority of time that you've been working. And that's really about the correct definition of being insured for a person in their 20s and early 30s. As you get into your 40s and 50s, it can be less than the majority of the time you've been working. It's a very good question. Thank you. And for now we're going to move on to supplemental security income, which is SSI. And SSI, on the other hand, for SSDI, you do not have to count your assets or income. There's no asset or income requirement for SSDI, but for SSI there is. You must have less than $2,000 in countable assets.
I get a lot of questions about what assets are.
Right. Okay, and now Katie had another question, which was not exactly a question, but a statement. She gets a lot of questions from potential clients about what are assets. And assets are basically things you can turn into cash very easily, like a retirement account or a checking account or a savings account, that kind of thing. One car is not countable. It's exempted. But your second car is countable. The value of that can be turned into cash according to Social Security. A house, not countable. Your second house is countable. Now, the income issue is also something you have to think about when you do an SSI application. A person must have less than $783 per month as a single person in unearned income, and about every form of income, just about every form of income counts against the SSI standard. Now, earned income is only counted half, but you can't be working more than the definition of disability would allow you to work, and that's another problem that we'll get to in another video. Now, moving on, again, same thing as SSDI, you must meet the SSA definition of disability. Now, we're going to do many videos about that definition, but you have to be disabled under their rules. Lastly, you do not need work credits. You do not need to have paid into the payroll tax system to be eligible for SSI. Now, unfortunately, SSI is a much lower payment usually than SSDI because we've all paid for SSDI and we're in essence getting the money back, although lower income people get more money back and maybe even more than they paid in, and higher income people get less money back than they paid in. So that's the difference between SSDI, which is a higher payment, but you need to have worked and paid payroll taxes, versus SSI, which is a lower payment. It's basically welfare because people need to be in poverty to get SSI, and it's a very much lower payment, but you don't need to have paid into the payroll system. You don't need to have paid FICA to get it. So that's our video, and thank you for watching. And if you like this video, you can watch more by subscribing. It's a red button somewhere on your screen. And Katie thanks you, and I thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.